Can I retire at 55 with $400,000 saved for retirement? That's what we're going to look at today on the Your Financial EKG YouTube channel. I have Candace. She is recently divorced. She has $400,000 saved for retirement, and she's asking the question, can I retire? She's also wanting to know about Roth conversions, being tax efficient. So we're going to look at two specific strategies for Candace. One, we're going to ask ourselves the question, can I retire? How long will our money last? We're also going to ask the question, can we do Roth conversions on our money? All right, here we go. So I've got Candace. All right, she is 55 years old. She lives in the great state of North Carolina. Hopefully she is a UNC fan, not a Duke fan. I am from Kentucky, so we still hate Christian Laettner. Nothing against Duke fans, but we just don't want you to see you win. Now, she is retired, and we're going to look at taking Social Security at 67. Now, she is recently divorced, so we're going to be taking a spousal benefit at 67. That spousal benefit is going to be $1,800 a month. All that means is a spousal benefit for a divorced individual is half of the ex-spouse's Social Security once you reach full retirement age, as long as you are not remarried. Okay? Now, for Candace, we've already talked a little bit about this in a previous video, but she's really concerned about taxes. So I really want to go through the strategy first, and then let's look at the taxes. So spousal benefit is what we're going to take at 67. Now, from an asset standpoint, she's got two main assets. She has an annuity. She has $200,000 in the annuity, and she has a Fidelity IRA of which she has $200,000 in. So we have $400,000 total, and she literally tells me, I have no money in the bank. Whatever comes in goes out to pay bills. And so she's living off this $400,000. Now, her home is worth $300,000 in North Carolina, and it does have a mortgage. Now, you might be saying, hey, Drew, what's the average save for retirement at 55? Well, let's look at it. This is from 2023. And so this is going to give you an idea of maybe where you're at compared to where others. Now, this is the average retirement savings in 401ks. Now, this does not include if you have IRAs or Roth IRAs somewhere else, but this is a great way to say, hey, am I on track? Or am I not on track? Because a lot of times people say, well, Drew, I've got an IRA, I've got Roth IRA, I've got rollover 401k, I've got all these other accounts. And I'll say, that's great, but most Americans don't have multiple IRA accounts, multiple 401ks. They have one 401k, maybe another IRA. So this is really what it looks like here in America. But look at this, 55 to 64, the median. This is more of what the population looks like, 89,716. That is not enough saved for retirement. Now, Candace has $400,000 at 55. We've got $400,000 here at 55. So she's above the median, but she's still saying, hey, at 55, is this enough to last throughout my retirement? And she really wants to know, she keeps talking about converting from IRAs to Roth IRAs. Her biggest concern is taxes. Now, let me show you her taxes. We'll skip a few lines. So for the year 2024, we'll go to a full year. Her projected federal tax rate is 8.2%. You might be thinking, Drew, that's not a big deal. 8.2% is great. And you can see that here. Here's our gross withdrawals, $49,524. $13,850 is our deduction. That's the single deduction right now. So our taxable income is $35,674. There's our bases. So our federal tax would be $4,000. Take this $4,000, divide it into the gross income, and we get 8.2%. So 8.2% is her effective tax rate, which is really, really low. But Candace has a good idea of what taxes are going to be in the future. So what if taxes go up? So let's increase the brackets here. Because in the year 2026, taxes are going to increase. The current tax code is going to go away unless it is updated or it's extended. So the current tax code goes away 12/31/25. If nothing is done, it reverts back to the Obama era taxes, which is about 25% higher. So let's up taxes 25% in the year 2026. So look at this. 2024, Candace's effective tax rate is 8.2%. If we go to 2026, we jump 2% to 10.6. Now, you might be thinking that's still pretty low, but what about when she gets over RMD age? So let's just put out another, let's go to 2042. Now we continue to creep up. 13.32% is now our projected federal tax rate. As we get older, our tax rate is going up because her RMDs are ballooning because all she has for income are IRAs. Once you reach 73, you have to start taking a required minimum distribution. Now that's adjusted to the year 2033. It's going to go to 74, then 75. But once you reach required minimum distribution age, which is simply saying the IRS requires you at a certain age to take money out of your IRA, a percentage of that, then she's going to have to start paying taxes on that money and using it for income. So since all of her money is IRA, we need to have a tax strategy. And she's in a unique situation because she's not working and she's using IRAs to live off of. So we have to ask ourselves, is this going to hurt her on taxes? And we'll show you that here in just a second. So if we go to required minimum distributions for Candace, let's say she has to take her required minimum distribution at 73. Actually, she'll have to take it at 75 based on her age. And let's just use her current value, just to make this simple. Let me show you what it looks like. So $400,000 is what her current qualified funds are at. And her tax bracket is currently at, what was it, like 10, I think, in the current tax code. And let's just say she gets a rate of return of 5% on her money. So in her first year at 75, if she still has $400,000, which she probably won't at that age, her RMD would be $16,260. So you see how even with a 5% growth rate, we're going down because we're having to take this distribution. But what if our tax bracket is at 16%? Okay, now we're taking this out and we're paying a lot more taxes. See, the tax now is $2,602. At 10%, the tax is $1,626. $1,000 difference just by a little 5% increase in the tax code. So here we go. We've got $400,000. Here's our alimony. Here's Social Security kicking in. Here's our assets. And essentially at 82, we're out of money. And that's because her net monthly income, it's growing with Social Security, is growing with COLA, but our expenses have outpaced that because we're giving a 3% inflation rate on our expenses. So we're having to take out more than the portfolio can earn. Now you might be thinking, Drew, taxes don't matter. She's running out of money at 82. That's correct. We've really got to look at this because if we're increasing the taxes, actually, let's go back. Let's take it back down to 25%. There we go. We get to 83. So any increase in the tax code, and I'll just say it's a 25% increase like the Obama era tax code, is going to really hurt Candace. So we need to look at tax planning. So let's look at that real quick. Let's go to taxes. Let's increase the bracket 25% in the year 2026. Okay. But what we're going to do differently is you're going to see this is we're going to do a Roth conversion. So we've got this $400,000 that we're living off of, but we're also going to do a Roth conversion on this money. So you're going to see some cash flows of Roth conversions coming out. Now a Roth conversion, even though she's under the age of 59 and a half, you do not get penalized the 10%. All we're doing is moving money from IRA to Roth IRA. And when you do a Roth conversion in retirement, it's really important for you to understand that a conversion is different from a contribution. When you contribute to a Roth IRA, that money can come out, the principal of that money can come out at any time. Now the earnings can't come out, but the principal can. On a conversion, each individual conversion, so for Candace, conversion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all those conversions, that pot of money has to sit in the Roth IRA for 5 years. It's a 5-year rule. You can't get principal, you can't get earnings, it's a conversion. So when we're doing Roth conversions after we've retired, we've really got to understand how long does this money have to sit? Are we going to need it? Because we can't necessarily touch it without a penalty. So you've got to let that sit for 5 years. And it's for each conversion. So if you do a conversion at 65, you got to wait till 70 to touch that money. If you do a conversion at 85, you got to wait till 90 to touch that money. So it's not a 5-year rule like contributions on the first contributions. It's a conversion 5-year rule. They're two separate rules. What we're trying to do for the conversion is lower her overall taxes later in retirement. So let's go to the retirement bucket and see about our income. Okay, look, we're actually out of money at 83. So now we're out at the same time, 83 years old. But we've done these conversions now. Here's our conversions, out at 83. So now let's go to the scenarios and let's look at them side by side and let's look at taxes. So here's the current scenario doing no Roth conversions, out of money at 83. Here's the current scenario doing a 5-year Roth conversion, out at 83. Go to the dashboard. Lifetime taxation for Candace. Current scenario, no Roth conversions, $332,000. Current scenario doing a 5-year Roth conversion, $308,000. Okay? That's a savings of like $25,000 in taxes. She's out of money at the same time, so there's some other steps that we're going to have to take so that she can continue to stay retired or do something to make her money last longer, because there's other things like long-term care, emergency situations, like maybe you need a new air conditioner, maybe you need a new car. So there's a lot of things going on in Candace's life that we need to focus on. But from a tax standpoint, we're working those taxes down so that later in life, when it's her most vulnerable time in life, she's not going to have those exorbitant tax bills that she would have had if she left all her money in an IRA. All right. Now, let's go to her current scenario with the 5-year Roth conversion. Let's go look at that. And let's make the money last a little longer. The reason I want to try to get her out of her 80s is because the average female is living to about 86. And so let's try to get this money into the 90s. So let's go back to the scenarios. And I want to do apples to apples because taxes are important. So let's take this. In the current scenario, no Roth conversions. Let's get her to 62. Let's get that part-time work on there. Let's look at the scenario. Okay, it gets her to 90. Now let's put them up next to each other. So we have the current scenario, adding the part-time work. Current scenario, 5-year Roth conversions, adding the part-time work. Now let's look at the lifetime taxation on these. $445,000 in lifetime taxation versus $407,000. So we still have kept the taxes low. She's going to have to work no matter what. Why not try to be as efficient as possible? And that's only if taxes increase 25%. What if taxes increase 50%? It's not about sprinkling pixie dust over the whole plan and getting everything tax-free and saying, oh, this is going to work perfectly. No, when money comes out of IRA, there's going to be taxes that are owed. So if we can take a portion of the money and get a portion of the money tax-free, wouldn't you rather save $40,000 in taxes over the rest of your life than zero and not doing anything? It's about momentum. It's about getting started, getting moving forward, and then we can do something. So for Candace, we're concentrating on 2 numbers. The first thing we want to concentrate on is how long is our money going to last, which we can get it to 90. And the second, because she's really concerned about taxes, is bringing down her overall tax burden, even if it's $40,000, which is still a large chunk of money. It's $40,000 that you get to keep instead of giving it to Uncle Sam. All right. So I hope this video has helped you with your tax planning. God bless. Bye-bye.